Just 4 days before Dolly Parton died, she told the world, "I still have so many things I want to achieve." She was still making plans and assuring fans she was getting better. But behind those hopeful final words was something Dolly never publicly revealed. And after her death, her family finally did. Let me break it down. On August 25, 2026, Dolly Parton's nephew, Brian Seaver, announced her passing in a video on Instagram, telling fans he was representing the Parton and Owens family. He introduced her the way she'd been to different people her whole life. My aunt, Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, and granny to one generation and Jiggy to the next. Then he said something that made clear this moment had been planned, not improvised. This video announcement was something Dolly had asked of him years earlier, before he fully absorbed it as a future reality. Brian wasn't just a nephew reading a statement. He'd served as her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role his father Larry held before him, and he admitted he'd imagined the heaviness of the moment, but hadn't truly felt it until then. Dolly Parton had chosen the person closest to her physical safety her entire career to be the one who told the world she was gone. But before that video, there was the statement. 4 days before she died, Dolly gave People magazine what would become her last public words. And it wasn't dark, it wasn't a farewell. It read like Dolly Parton on any ordinary Tuesday, funny, a little defiant, still working. She'd been asked directly why the concern over her health had spiked so much in recent months, and her answer traced back to grief. In the statement to People, she acknowledged that she paid more attention to taking care of her husband in the last years of his life. Her husband, Carl Thomas Dean, had died in March 2025. Dolly followed him about a year and a half later. She didn't pretend this was new territory for her body, either. She also mentioned that this wasn't the first time she'd battled health issues, citing a difficult time in the early 1980s where she was down for several months with female issues. Then she pivoted to something that sounded almost like a media critique from a woman who'd survived 5 decades of tabloids. Her statement continued, "But I think because we live in a 24/7 world with social media, everything gets magnified in ways it wasn't years ago." She even joked about her new place in the pop culture ecosystem. She said she used to call herself the queen of the tabloids, but now she supposed she was the queen of social media AI. Then, still cracking jokes through what turned out to be one of her final interviews, she added that even though she was still healing, she was still working. And that's the part that's hardest to square with what came 4 days later. Just 4 days before her passing, Dolly remained upbeat about what lay ahead, releasing a statement that included, "I still have so many things I want to achieve." She wasn't slowing down in her own mind. She was talking about avatar performances, a new hotel, a museum. Then on August 25, at the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center in Nashville, she died at the age of 80. Her estate released the news the same day, and it contained a detail almost nobody had seen coming. She died after being diagnosed with cancer, her estate said in a statement, adding that after bravely facing a brief battle with cancer, Dolly departed her earthly life that day at the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, surrounded by loved ones. Parton had not publicly disclosed, before that, she'd been getting treatment for the illness. That's the part that turns her last words from bittersweet into something closer to unsettling. She'd spent months describing kidney stones, immune issues, digestive problems, dizziness, dehydration. She joked, deflected, reassured. And the whole time, according to what her estate revealed only after she was gone, there had been a cancer diagnosis sitting underneath all of it that she never said out loud to the public. TMZ later reported the final hours, and the timeline moved fast. TMZ had learned Dolly was admitted to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville early that Friday morning with kidney and autoimmune issues. And Dolly died in the hospital that same morning. Her death, according to the outlet, came as a sudden and unexpected shock. To understand why her last words carry so much weight, you have to go back to what she'd actually been telling fans for almost a full year before she died. Because Dolly Parton didn't go quiet, she kept talking. She just kept reframing what was happening to her body as something smaller than it was. It started in September 2025, months after Carl Dean's death. Fans began to worry when she postponed her Las Vegas residency, originally scheduled for December, and pushed it back to September 2026, citing what she called health challenges at the time. A month after that announcement, she posted directly to social media to calm the speculation down. Last October, Parton posted a video proclaiming, "I ain't dead yet," after her sister asked for prayers for the country music star. That plea from her sister is worth sitting with. Her sister Freda Parton sent fans into a panic by telling everyone on social media that she'd been up all night praying for Dolly and asking everyone else to pray too. Dolly's response was immediate. She insisted she was okay, but then notably asked for prayers of her own. By October, in a video meant to settle everyone down, she was almost cheeky about it. She said recent major life events led her to neglect her health and asked fans directly, "Do I look sick to you?" She admitted there were problems, tracing them straight back to Carl. "I'm okay. I've got some problems, as I mentioned. Back when my husband Carl was very sick, that was for a long time. And then when he passed, I didn't take care of myself," she said, adding that once she reconnected with her doctors, they told her which issues needed attention. Then March 2026 arrived, and Dolly showed up at Dollywood for the park's 41st season opener, her first major public appearance of the year. She told the crowd she'd been dealing with a few little health issues and that they were taking good care of them. She admitted the toll grief had taken. "I just kind of got worn down and worn out, grieving over Carl and a lot of other little things going on," she said, adding that she'd gotten herself to a place where she needed to build back up spiritually, emotionally, and physically. But all is good. That Dollywood speech also had a moment that, looking back, reads differently now than it did then. She joked about Carl waiting for her on the other side, imagining what he'd say if she showed up at the pearly gates with someone new. "I think Carl Dean's waiting for me," she said. "If I should show up at the pearly gates with somebody else, he would not like that. He'd be saying, 'Who's that little pisser? You leave him outside the gates.'" At the time, it was a laugh line. In hindsight, it's a woman who'd already started thinking about the other side of the gate. Then came May 4, 2026, a longer, more detailed video posted straight to Instagram, and the closest thing to a real accounting she'd give the public. She opened it the way she opened most hard conversations, with a joke that softened the blow. "I have some good news and a little bad news," Parton said in the video, adding, "The good news is I'm responding really well to meds and treatments, and I'm improving every day." She detailed kidney stones, a recurring issue she joked about with characteristic humor, saying doctors dug more stones out of her in a year than a rock quarry back home in Tennessee. She said her immune system and digestive system had gotten all out of whack over the past couple of 3 years, adding that her doctors were working hard to sort everything out and that hopefully she'd be up to snuff again soon. Even then, she framed it as recovery, not decline. She talked about her Broadway musical. She talked about a Nashville hotel and museum she was building. That same spring in August, just weeks before she died, she gave an update that leaned into technology instead of illness. The 80-year-old country legend shared an update on her health after being forced to cancel her Vegas residency, and said she was also considering Avatar performances in the future. She'd just been forced to skip the opening of a new roller coaster at Dollywood, staying home in Nashville instead, and sending a video message. The reason given at the time was dizziness and dehydration, and her doctor had grounded her for the week. Every single one of these updates was framed as manageable: kidney stones, an immune system rebuilding itself, grief taking a physical toll. Nothing, in her own words, across nearly a year of public statements, ever named the word that her estate would use just days after she died. When the news broke on August 25, the reaction wasn't confined to country music. It came from pop stars, from politicians, from British rock royalty, from a Harry Potter author. It came fastest, though, from the people who'd known her longest. Miley Cyrus, her real-life goddaughter, posted within minutes of the death being confirmed. "I can't believe we just lost the purest soul. Rest in glory, Dolly. My heart aches," she wrote, adding in a follow-up post that Dolly transcended time and lived on in the hearts of entire generations. The bond went back to before Miley could walk. Dolly had been guest starring as Aunt Dolly on the Disney Channel show Miley did with her father for years. That father, Billy Ray Cyrus, posted his own tribute, and it circled back to a moment from decades earlier that had quietly defined their friendship. He recalled walking into her dressing room in 1992 to apologize for tabloid rumors that the two of them were having an affair. In true Dolly fashion, she just looked at him, winked, and said, "Honey, this trash sells records." Reba McEntire, who just finished re-recording one of Dolly's own songs with her months earlier, wrote a tribute that read like she was talking directly to her. "Dolly, thank you for all the wonderful things you did for us here on Earth," she wrote. "Your love, your music, and you gave so much with your huge, huge heart." Elton John called her a giant of an artist, unique and irreplaceable. Paul McCartney posted a photo of the two of them together, calling her a magnificent star. Even J.K. Rowling weighed in, crediting Dolly's imagination library as, in her words, the best contribution to child literacy ever made by a celebrity. That's 3, 4, 5 separate corners of culture, country, pop, British rock, literature, all responding to the same person within hours of the same announcement, which says something about how far Dolly Parton's reach actually went. Amid the tributes, her family revealed 2 more details that reframed how deliberately Dolly had planned her own exit from the world. The first was about her burial. According to TMZ, Parton will be buried alongside Carl Dean at Woodlawn Memorial Park and Mausoleum in Nashville, the city where the 2 of them had met outside a laundromat back in 1964, and where she'd first arrived as a young woman chasing a music career. The second detail was smaller, but it's the one that stuck with people. In that same announcement video, Brian Seaver explained a request Dolly had made to him personally. He tied it back to where she came from. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy, Seaver said. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. It's a strange kind of poetry, a woman famous for sequins and platform heels asking, at the very end, for cotton. Simple, soft, nothing performed about it. Seaver closed the announcement with something that doubled as both eulogy and instruction to the millions of people who'd grown up on her music. By her example, we believed that anything was possible, he said. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. Looking back across those final months, the picture that emerges isn't one of concealment for its own sake. It's a woman who kept working, kept joking, kept showing up in videos to reassure fans, all while a diagnosis she never spoke about publicly moved underneath every one of those updates. The kidney stones were real, the immune trouble was real, the exhaustion from losing Carl was real. What wasn't said until the family statement that followed her death was the word that tied all of it together. Her final on-record words to the public weren't cryptic or foreboding. They were about achievement, about still healing while still working, about a woman who, 4 days before dying, was still talking about everything she had left to do. That's the version of Dolly Parton the world got to keep until the very end, not a woman preparing to leave, but one who, by every word she left behind, still believed she was staying.